Picture this: a 1990 Mercedes-Benz W124 clocks over 3 million kilometers on its original engine. That's to the moon and back 5 times. Meanwhile, a brand new $120,000 Mercedes EQS breaks down at just 5,000 kilometers, racking up a $12,000 repair bill because one tiny line of code failed. That's the future they sold us. How did we go from bulletproof machines that lasted generations to disposable gadgets that die before the warranty expires? Buckle up, because today we're exposing 12 brutal truths the auto industry hopes you never find out. We'll reveal CEO strategies, planned obsolescence schemes, and cost-cutting secrets. These are the dark tactics that turned cars from lifetime investments into subscription-based liabilities. From overengineering legends to software traps, from mechanical simplicity to electronic nightmares, you'll understand why old cars were built to outlive their owners, and why new cars are designed to barely outlive their warranties. Let's dive in and uncover the ugly truth. Reason 1. Overengineering versus cost-cutting, the accountant takeover. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Old cars were built by engineers. New cars are built by accountants. In the 1980s and 1990s, automotive engineers had one mandate: build it to last. Companies like Mercedes-Benz, Toyota, and Volvo operated under a philosophy called overengineering, deliberately making components stronger, heavier, and more durable than necessary. Take the Mercedes W123 from 1976. Its engine block was cast iron, weighing nearly 200 kilograms. Why? Because Mercedes engineers calculated it would last 1 million miles, and it did. Taxi drivers in Germany routinely hit 500,000 plus kilometers without major repairs. Now look at a 2024 Mercedes C-Class. The engine block is aluminum alloy. Lighter, yes, but designed to last only 150,000 miles before acceptable wear. Why the change? Pure profit margins. A leaked internal BMW memo from 2019 revealed that the company saves $47 per vehicle by reducing engine block thickness by just 2 millimeters. Multiply that across 2.5 million cars annually, and you're looking at $117 million in savings. But the cost? Engines that develop cracks and leaks at 80,000 miles instead of 300,000. The brutal reality: automakers discovered that making cars too reliable was bad for business. If a car lasts 30 years, customers don't buy new ones. So they shifted from build it once, build it right, to build it good enough to survive the warranty. But that engineering betrayal was just the warm-up, because when computers invaded the engine bay, things got infinitely worse. Reason 2. Mechanical simplicity versus software dependency, the computer hostage. Remember when you could actually fix your own car with basic tools? The auto industry made sure those days would never return. Old cars operated on pure mechanical systems. Carburetors you could rebuild on your kitchen table, distributor ignition you could time with a test light, and hydraulic transmissions with zero computer interference. If your 1992 Honda Accord broke down, you could diagnose it with a Haynes manual and a $20 multimeter. My neighbor runs a 1987 Toyota pickup with 387,000 miles on the odometer. Last month, it wouldn't start. He spent 15 minutes checking fuel, spark, and timing. The culprit? An $8 distributor cap, fixed in the driveway. Total cost? $8. Compare that to a 2024 Ford F-150 with over 150 million lines of code, more than a Boeing 787 Dreamliner. One corrupted software module, and your $75,000 truck becomes a brick. In 2022, Rivian R1T owners watched their $80,000 electric trucks shut down mid-drive. Not mechanical failure, a software bug. The fix required an over-the-air update that took 3 weeks to deploy. Brand new trucks sat dead in driveways, while owners had zero ability to fix them. The sinister truth: software dependency creates total vendor control. You cannot repair a Tesla without Tesla's proprietary tools, costing mechanics $3,500 yearly. Old cars gave you freedom. New cars gave you digital handcuffs. And just when you thought manufacturers couldn't get more devious, they invented something far more profitable. Reason 3. Planned obsolescence, the $2 trillion scheme. Let's address the elephant in the boardroom. Planned obsolescence isn't conspiracy theory, it's documented corporate strategy. This goes back to 1924, when the Phoebus cartel, light bulb manufacturers, deliberately engineered bulbs to fail at 1,000 hours instead of lasting indefinitely. Their reason? Maximize repeat purchases. The auto industry perfected this playbook. General Motors pioneered automotive obsolescence in the 1950s with intentional yearly model changes, not for innovation, but to make perfectly good cars feel psychologically outdated. GM President Alfred Sloan openly stated the goal was to make customers dissatisfied enough to trade in every few years. But the real weapon emerged in the 2000s, electronic obsolescence. A 2015 BMW 7 Series with its iDrive 4.0 system was completely abandoned by 2020, just 5 years later. No software updates, no navigation updates. A $90,000 sedan became functionally crippled because BMW stopped supporting it. Compare that to a 1989 Lexus LS 400. No touchscreen, no software to abandon, just analog gauges and mechanical controls. These cars run flawlessly 35 years later. A 2018 European investigation exposed the master plan. Modern cars have calculated failure points timed for just after warranty expiration. Components are engineered to last 60,000 to 80,000 miles, enough to clear warranty, then fail. The economics are brutal. If automakers extended lifespan by 50%, industry revenue would collapse by $400 to $600 billion annually. So they engineer against longevity. But the betrayal goes deeper when you see what they're actually building these cars from. Reason 4. Real metal versus plastic components. The material downgrade. Pop the hood of a 1985 Volvo 240 and you'll see cast iron, forged steel, copper wiring, and solid metal, everything. Open a 2024 Volvo XC90 hood and you'll find plastic engine covers, composite manifolds, and nylon cooling parts. The shift happened for 2 reasons: weight reduction and cost savings, but never for your benefit. Plastic intake manifolds now infest 80% of modern engines. They're 40% cheaper to produce than aluminum and save 3 to 5 pounds. Sounds brilliant until they crack and fail under thermal cycling, the constant expansion and contraction during normal operation. BMW's N54 and N55 engines from 2007 to 2016 are legendary failures. The plastic charge pipe handles 20 plus psi of turbo boost, but predictably explodes between 60,000 to 90,000 miles. When it bursts, you're stranded. Dealership replacement, $400 to $800. An aftermarket aluminum pipe costs $200 and lasts forever. Even worse, the Volkswagen 2.0 TSI engine uses a plastic water pump impeller that disintegrates inside the cooling system, sending debris through the engine and destroying timing chains. VW knew about this flaw since 2010, but continued using plastic because metal would cost $18 per vehicle. Contrast this with the Mercedes OM617 diesel from 1980s models. All metal construction, cast iron block, forged steel crank, metal water pump, copper radiator. These engines routinely exceed 500,000 miles because materials don't degrade. The reality, manufacturers save $50 to $100 per vehicle using cheap materials, but you pay thousands in premature failures. If you're starting to feel betrayed, share this with someone who still thinks new cars are better. But the electronic integration nightmare gets even worse. Reason 5. Isolated systems versus integrated networks. The cascade failure. Old cars used isolated mechanical systems. Radio died, engine kept running, air conditioning failed, transmission still shifted. Every system operated independently. Modern cars use integrated digital networks, where everything communicates. One failure cascades through multiple systems, disabling the entire vehicle. A 2019 Range Rover owner experienced this nightmare. His infotainment screen froze during a commute. Seems minor? The screen controls climate, suspension settings, transmission modes, and parking brake. When it died, the $95,000 SUV became completely undrivable. The fix? Replace the entire infotainment module for $4,500. Tesla Model S owners report identical madness. A failed touchscreen means you can't adjust mirrors, open the glove box, or control climate. Basic functions held hostage by one electronic component. Compare that to a 1990 Jeep Wrangler. Manual windows, manual locks, mechanical HVAC with physical levers, analog gauges. Radio dies, replace it for $50. Air conditioning breaks. Everything else works perfectly. Each system operates independently. The Mercedes W124 exemplified brilliant philosophy with mechanical fuel injection as backup, hydraulic power steering, and independent electrical circuits. Mercedes called it graceful degradation. Partial failures never create total failures. Modern cars employ the opposite, catastrophic integration. Porsche Cayenne owners discovered this when software glitches disabled their air suspension, causing vehicles to drop to the ground. A $100,000 SUV stranded by corrupted code. The damning data: modern cars have 4 to 5 times more no-start conditions than 1990s vehicles. Starting requires 20-plus electronic systems communicating. Old cars needed fuel, spark, compression. That's it. And speaking of unnecessary complications, wait until you see what they did to basic repairability. Reason 6. Repairable designs versus sealed assemblies. The replacement trap. Old cars were designed for repair. Individual components could be replaced or rebuilt. Parts were accessible. Service manuals were freely available. Modern cars use sealed assemblies deliberately engineered to be replaced as expensive units, never repaired. The 1992 Honda Civic transmission is the perfect example. Bearing failed? You replaced that specific bearing for $30 in parts and a Saturday in the garage. The transmission case was reusable, gears were individually replaceable, and rebuild kits cost under $200. Now examine a 2022 Honda Civic CVT transmission. It's a completely sealed unit. One component fails, you replace the entire transmission. $5,000 to $7,000 installed. Honda doesn't sell internal components. Independent shops cannot rebuild it. BMW Angel Eye headlights cost $2,500 per unit because LED elements are permanently sealed into the housing. The LEDs cost $8, but BMW engineered them so you must replace the entire headlight. Old cars had $20 bulbs you changed in parking lots. Tesla Model S door handles are motorized and sealed. When the motor fails, common at 60,000 to 80,000 miles, you cannot replace just the motor. Tesla sells only the complete handle assembly for $1,200 per door. Old cars had mechanical handles lasting decades for $30. This extends to turbocharged engines with turbos integrated into exhaust manifolds. Turbo fails? Replace the entire manifold assembly, $3,000 to $5,000. Old bolt-on turbos? Replace just the turbo for $800. A 2020 study found repair costs increased 340% from 1995 to 2020, but labor hours only increased 80%. Parts that cost $50 now cost $1,000 as sealed assemblies. But before you think it can't get worse, let's talk about how your car became a beta test. Reason 7. Proven powertrains versus experimental technology, the beta test nightmare. Old cars used proven, battle-tested technology refined over decades. New cars use experimental technology rushed to market, with you as the involuntary beta tester. The Chevrolet small block Phi-8 debuted in 1955 and ran until 2003 with continuous refinement. By the 1980s to 90s, it was perfected, reliable, powerful, efficient. The Ford 300 Inline-6 ran from 1965 to 1996, getting more bulletproof each generation. Toyota's 1UZ FEV8, powering the 1989 Lexus LS 400, was tested for over 2 million miles before production. Toyota engineers ran prototypes non-stop for months, simulating decades of abuse. Result? An engine routinely exceeding 400,000 miles without major rebuilds. Compare that to BMW's N63 V8 from 2008 to 2017, plagued from day one with timing chain failures, turbo failures, and excessive oil consumption. Why? BMW rushed it to market to compete with Mercedes, skipping long-term durability testing. Owners faced $15,000 to $25,000 repair bills within 80,000 miles. Ford's first-generation EcoBoost engines from 2011 to 2014 suffered carbon buildup, timing chain failures, and turbo failures between 60,000 to 100,000 miles. Ford was still learning turbocharged direct injection while customers became unpaid beta testers. Nissan's Jatco CVT transmissions from 2013 to 2018 commonly fail between 60,000 to 90,000 miles. Unthinkable for owners expecting 200,000 plus miles like old automatics delivered. The betrayal. Old car buyers got refined, proven technology. Modern buyers are involuntary beta testers paying premium prices for experimental systems that fail before maturing. And if paying to be a guinea pig wasn't insulting enough, the sensor explosion created an entirely new nightmare. Reason 8. Minimal electronics versus sensor overload. The diagnostic money pit. Old cars had maybe 10 sensors total. A 1988 Toyota Camry ran on basic inputs: air temperature, coolant temperature, throttle position, oxygen sensor. That was it. Simple, reliable. Modern cars have 80 to 150 sensors monitoring absolutely everything. More sensors mean more failure points, more false errors, and exponentially more expensive diagnostics. A 2021 Mercedes E-Class has sensors for tire pressure, wheel speed, rain detection, ambient light, air quality, seat occupancy, steering angle, yaw rate, brake wear, oil level, oil quality, fuel quality, NOx levels, exhaust temperature, and dozens more. When one sensor fails or sends false readings, the car enters limp mode, but often nothing is actually wrong, just a faulty $200 sensor lying to the computer. Audi A4 owners live this nightmare constantly. The oil level sensor fails around 50,000 to 70,000 miles, triggering warnings and limp mode even when oil is perfect. The sensor costs $200, requires dropping the oil pan, and 3 hours of labor, $600 total. Old cars had a dipstick costing nothing. BMW tire pressure sensors fail predictably. When one dies at $150 each, you get constant warnings, stability control deactivates, and some models won't exceed 50 miles per hour. Old cars had a $5 tire gauge. Mass airflow sensors cost $200 to $400 and fail every 60,000 to 80,000 miles. Old cars used MAP sensors costing $50 that rarely failed. The cruel irony: more sensors don't mean better reliability. They mean more expensive repairs and more frustration. Share this with your tech-loaded car friend and watch them panic. But the accessibility restriction gets downright criminal. Reason 9. Owner-friendly engineering versus dealership dependency, the maintenance monopoly. Old cars were designed so owners and independent mechanics could service them. Engine bays had space. Filters were accessible. Maintenance was straightforward. Modern cars are deliberately engineered to require dealership service, maximizing manufacturer profit from captive customers. A 1995 Honda Accord oil change. Pop the hood, reach the easily accessible oil filter, drain plug, right at the oil pan. 15 minutes, any backyard mechanic could handle it. A 2022 Honda Accord oil change. The oil filter is buried under plastic covers, requiring under-tray removal, accessible only from underneath with the car lifted. Honda wants you at the dealership paying $89 for a $30 job. Audi and VW perfected the dealership trap. Their lifetime transmission fluid claim is a lie. The fluid breaks down, but they designed transmissions without drain plugs. To change fluid, mechanics must pump it out using special equipment costing thousands. BMW went nuclear. Many models hide the battery in the trunk. Replacing it requires electronic registration with BMW software. Independent shops must pay BMW for access. Old cars, battery under the hood, replace in 10 minutes, no registration. Cabin air filters show this perfectly. A 2000 Toyota Camry. Open glove box, remove 2 clips, slide out filter. 2 minutes, $10 filter. A 2018 Chevy Silverado. Remove entire glove box, remove housing, extract filter, reassemble. Dealerships charge $80. Headlight bulbs became absurd. A 1998 Corolla. Twist socket, replace bulb. 30 seconds. A 2015 Subaru WRX. Remove battery, tray, washer reservoir, air intake. 90 minutes. for a $20 bulb. The reality: manufacturers make more profit from service than sales, and just when you thought transmissions couldn't fail faster. Reason 10. Durable transmissions versus fragile gearboxes. The shifting catastrophe: old automatic transmissions were hydraulically controlled, mechanically simple, and virtually indestructible with basic maintenance. Modern transmissions are electronically controlled, insanely complex, and fail prematurely. The GM TH350 and TH400 transmissions from the 1960s to the 1990s were legendary. 3 or 4 speeds, pure hydraulics, forged steel internals. With regular fluid changes, they'd last 300,000 plus miles. Rebuilding cost $600 to $1,200. These handled double their rated torque in racing. The Toyota A 344-speed automatic in Land Cruisers and 4Runners routinely exceeded 400,000 miles. Simple, proven, hydraulic control. Change fluid every 30,000 miles, and they lasted forever. Now, examine modern transmissions. ZF 8-speed automatics used by BMW, Jaguar, Chrysler, and Ram are smooth when working, but fail catastrophically at 80,000 to 120,000 miles. Replacement: $6,000 to $8,000. No rebuild option. Ford's 10-speed automatic has been problematic since 2017. Harsh shifts, delayed engagement, premature clutch wear. Owners report failures under 60,000 miles. 10 gears controlled by intricate software. Impressive in theory, fragile in reality. CVT transmissions are worse. Nissan's Jatco CVT has class action lawsuits over premature failure. These fail between 60,000 to 90,000 miles. Replacement costs $4,000 to $6,000, often exceeding vehicle value. Dual clutch transmissions from VW and Ford promised performance. Instead, jerky shifts and expensive repairs. VW's DSG had settlements over failures costing $4,000 to $6,000. The harsh truth: modern transmissions prioritize fuel economy over durability. Old transmissions had 200 to 300 parts. Modern ones have 800 plus parts and multiple computers. But even if your transmission survives, finding parts becomes impossible. Reason 11. Universal parts versus electronic orphans. The extinction timeline. Old cars have thriving aftermarket support. Parts are interchangeable across model years and brands. You can keep them running indefinitely. Modern cars become electronic orphans after 7 to 10 years when manufacturers discontinue parts, and aftermarket companies can't replicate proprietary electronics. The Chevrolet small block V8 shares parts across 40-plus years. A gasket from a 1970 engine fits a 1999 engine. Aftermarket companies make every conceivable part. Intake manifolds? You have 50 options from $100 to $2,000. Toyota 22R engines from 1981 to 1995 have endless aftermarket support. Every seal, gasket, bearing available from multiple manufacturers. These engines run forever because parts never disappear. Mercedes W123 and W124 models from 1976 to 1995 still have robust parts availability 40-plus years later. Simple mechanical design meant aftermarket could reproduce everything. Now consider modern vehicles. A 2012 Nissan Leaf needs a new battery pack. Nissan discontinued them. Aftermarket alternatives are sketchy. Result? A 12-year-old car is essentially scrap because one component is unavailable. Tesla parts availability is a nightmare. Body panels, control modules, cameras, sensors, all proprietary. If Tesla decides not to stock a part, you're done. Insurance companies total Teslas over minor accidents. Electronic modules are the worst. A 2013 BMW 5 Series needs a new iDrive module. BMW discontinued it. No aftermarket, encrypted software. Used modules don't work without $300 to $500 reprogramming. Your $50,000 car is crippled. Land Rover vehicles become orphans quickly. A 2014 Range Rover Sport needs a suspension control module. Land Rover doesn't make them anymore. You're hunting junkyards. The reality: a 1985 Suburban can be fixed in 2024. A 2012-volt battery failure means junk. And now for the final reason, the one explaining everything. Reason 12. Built to last versus built to lease: the business model revolution. Here's the final and most damning truth. Automakers fundamentally changed their business model from selling durable goods to selling consumable products. In the 1980s to 1990s, manufacturers profited from vehicle sales. Their reputation depended on reliability because buyers kept cars 10 to 15 years. Bad reliability destroyed brands. This incentivized quality. Toyota built on reliability. Mercedes advertised their W123 as the best engineered automobile. Honda owners kept Accords for 200,000 plus miles and bought another Honda. But around 2000, everything changed. Leasing exploded. Now 30 to 50% of transactions are leases, not purchases. Leases typically last 3 years, 36,000 miles, conveniently matching warranty periods. This destroyed the reliability incentive. Why over-engineer for 300,000 miles when 50% of customers return at 36,000 miles? Why use expensive materials when customers only experience 3 years of ownership? BMW exemplifies this shift. In the 1980s to 90s, they built the E33 series and E34 5 series to last 300,000 plus miles because buyers kept them. Those cars still run today. Modern BMWs, designed for 3-year lease cycles. After lease return, they become certified pre-owned or hit the used market where BMW doesn't care about your $8,000 repair bill. They already made their money. Service departments now generate more profit than sales. Dealerships make 50 to 60% of profit from service, only 20 to 30% from vehicle sales. The financial incentives oppose reliability. If a BMW lasts 20 years, that's 1 sale every 20 years. If it lasts 7 years, that's 3 sales. BMW makes 4 to 5 times more profit. The ultimate truth, reliability is now bad for business, so they engineer against it. So there you have it, the 12 brutal truths behind why old cars outlive new ones. Back then, reliability was the mission. Every nut, every bolt, every component was designed to go the distance. Today, it's the opposite. Cars are faster, flashier, packed with tech, but also fragile, costly, and deliberately short-lived. What used to be over-engineering has been replaced by cost-cutting, and lifetime companions have turned into disposable gadgets. Your grandfather's Mercedes W123 and your dad's Camry weren't lucky. They were built in a different era, when cars were meant to outlive their owners, not their warranties. Now it's your turn. Which old car have you seen embarrass modern machines? Tell me in the comments below. And if this video opened your eyes, share it with every car enthusiast you know. Thanks for watching SUV Detective. They don't build them like they used to, and now you know why.